I'm Owen Bigland. This is the Inside Edge video blog. Okay, in today's Western Investor magazine, Wednesday, October 25th, headline, Sales Surprise at Ultra Luxury Curve Condo Tower in Vancouver. And it went on to say that this new luxury tower that's just started pre-selling here, right by the Granville Street Bridge, on the other side, east side of the Granville Street Bridge, has basically sold out phase one. Phase one is 90% sold out, over $200 million in sales. So, you know, this isn't surprising. You know, wait till I give you guys a load of the prices on this tower. There's very little for sale right now, as I've been saying for a long time, especially if you want to buy a new pre-sale luxury tower. I've talked about many times, you know, the absorption rate, the trickle-in supply. So this is kind of the only game in town right now. If you want to buy a new luxury tower in downtown Vancouver, there's a few other buildings in Cole Harbour kind of finishing up. There's the Butterfly down here, but that's all long pre-sold 5 year ago. So this one's the new fresh one on the market right now. It's kind of the only game in town, and they're selling this thing out. Prices, a small one bedroom, 550 square feet, starting just over $1 million plus GST. That'll be a low floor unit. They've got 3-bedroom units starting at $3 million, plus GST. Penthouses are between $4,000 and $5,000 a square foot. $4,000 to $5,000 a square foot. So this is what I've been telling you guys for a long time now. $2,000 a square foot, $2,500 a square foot is kind of what a lot of these buildings are coming in at, much more for the higher floor units in this tower. Hey, when you can buy tangible product at $1,100, $1,150 a square foot for a 10-year-old concrete building next door to this, or maybe even a better location, I think it's going to look pretty good in 10, 15, 20 years from now. So we'll see where it goes. A couple other things. It's going to be they say it's going to be the tallest tower in downtown Vancouver, 60 stories. Now I know there's taller buildings. I think the Shangri-La might be slightly more floors than that, but apparently they're saying this is going to be the tallest tower. It's going to be a passive house. It's going to be actually the tallest passive house tower in the world, not just in Vancouver. So it's only going to be the most energy efficient building in Vancouver. So I don't know, guys, on these kind of things, it sounds pretty cool. Energy efficient, passive house, the most energy efficient building. To me, those things, I like to let those buildings get built, let occupancy happen, and wait a few years. That's kind of my motto with these extremely high-tech, green, energy-efficient buildings. That's just my motto that I've always followed. These high-tech buildings, they're great. You're going to save some money on your electricity bill, I guess, and your heating and cooling, but expensive to install. It adds a lot more money on a price per square foot basis, and it's a lot of stuff that can break down. I'm not saying that that's going to happen here, but my rule of thumb on these really, really high-tech buildings that have never been done before, you know, don't rush to the pre-sale. Let the building get complete, which is going to be apparently in 2027, and give it a few more years after that. Let everything get kind of, see how everything pans out. The elevator's working for a while, the heating and cooling, and then assess the price per square foot at that time. So, you know, it went on here. It was a little cringy here. You know, it talked about the development guys here and saying, you know, they're even surprised by the sale, you know, the activity they've had. But they went on to say how much money is in Vancouver. You know, it's just floating cash everywhere here, which, hey, Vancouver is a wealthy city. You know, we've long crossed that bridge where everyone always brings out that stat, you know, that Vancouver home prices don't make any sense. You know, the average wage here is $48,000, but you know, you're going to need $150,000 down, and you need to have an income of $130,000 to qualify for just a starter level one bedroom, and something just doesn't add up. Well, it adds up. Vancouver is not for the average Joe, and it hasn't been for well over a decade now. If you're earning an average wage here, you're not going to be living in Vancouver. Who is moving into Vancouver is young tech workers that are making 125, 150 and up a year, because I'm working with them all the time. There may be people that have been in the market. It's an equity-driven market, like I've always talked about. They bought their first condo 15 years ago, and it's almost paid off, and they've got 600 or 700K of equity in it, and they're going to use that equity, top it up with another couple $100,000, and put down an $850 or $900 and buy a $1.5 million condo. So that's how it works. Vancouver isn't any different. They always talk about how unusual it is here in Vancouver. It's not. Vancouver is like 20, 30 other North American cities. Everything in Southern California, everything along the West Coast, New York, Miami, Boston, Washington. I could go on and on. Toronto. This is the way it is. If you want to live in a city as great as Vancouver, you're not going to do it on an average man's wage or average gal's wage anymore. The other thing, of course, for living in downtown Vancouver is going to be renters, struggling renters. So I've often said it's going to be multi-millionaires living in a unit like this curve, or struggling renters renting one bedrooms and trying to hopefully save enough money for the down payment or move up the income ladder to be able to finally buy their first place. But not surprising, sold out phase 1, 90% sold. They're going to roll out phase 2, I think, early in the new year. They're selling it in probably 3 or 4 phases here, but not surprising. It's the only game in town, and for sure, there's people that can pay $2,500, $3,000 a square foot and up for a luxury condo. I'm Owen Bigland. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.